You're tuned in to the Dare to be Awesome Women's Hour with Gayle Edwards, the diva. And today I've got a very, very special guest with me who's going to be telling us about her experiences, how she came from a completely different country. She came from a foreign country to come and settle over here, and what she's done on that journey and how it's impacted others as well. So joining me today is the wonderful Inga Deksne. Hello, Inga.
Hello, Gayle.
And please excuse Inga, she's got a little bit of nerves because, Inga, what is today? What is this?
It's the first time ever when I'm on the radio show.
Exactly. Inga is daring herself to be awesome on radio with us today. So, without further ado, we kicked off the show with Whitney Houston, I'm Every Woman, and as we know, Whitney always has it going on. So, Inga, I'm really looking forward to today's conversation because we are going to be finding out a little bit more about you, what you do, about your journey here, why you're here speaking to us, and what exciting things you've got coming up as well.
Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to it as well. And it's a little bit of story because Gayle is opening up new experiences for me, not for the first time. I remember, how many years ago? Five years ago.
Quite a few.
5 years ago, when I mentioned to Gayle that this is a year when I want to start my speaking career to develop my speaking skills. What you know, Gayle invited me to do a talk a few weeks later. And the same now happens with the radio.
So that was your first speaking gig. It certainly wasn't your last.
No, it just opens the doors for me for more and more.
Inga, because I want to get right into your story. So first and foremost, Inga, where are you from? Because clearly you're not from here.
No, I don't sound English, right? I'm from Latvia.
You're from Latvia. Mm-hmm.
It's a small country near the Baltic Sea.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be a part of Soviet Union, and I think it became independent when I was 16. So
Right.
I experienced both eras.
Right, so you knew what it was like when it was communist,
Yes.
and also now that very much part of the European Union.
Yeah, it was independent, and then we entered European Union as well. So, and it's a part of EU community now.
So what brought you here, Inga?
I fell in love with London into 2007. I came for the first time. I visited London, and it felt that as if I lived here before. Like my soul was greeting the city.
Oh,
It felt so familiar, even though it was huge. Imagine Latvia is a little bit less than 2 million people living, and I came to London. So for me, it's like a huge, big country on its own. And I loved it from the first sight, and I wanted to live here.
so when you first came, you obviously came to visit.
Yes.
So what had brought you here? Was it a holiday or were you working? What had brought you here on that visit?
So I used to be a teacher at school, at secondary school, and I came to have 2 weeks courses specifically for teachers, and it was in Wales, but my cousins lived here in London, so I combined.
All right, I see. So obviously, London had a great big impact on you, as you said. You loved it so much that you wanted to live here, so you went back to Latvia.
Yes.
And how long before going back and then moving over permanently? What was the time scale?
So my first visit was in July 2007. I came with 2 suitcases in June 2008. So 1 year.
Really, that quick?
Yes.
Now it just goes to show, doesn't it, that when you have a plan and a purpose, it just happens. So take me through that year, Inga, because that's not a long time to make such a life-changing decision, because you've been here ever since.
Yes, that's true.
So that's quite a life-changing decision that you made fairly quickly.
I think it's also important to have this short period of implementation in order not to change my mind. It was scary. So I was going back and forth, like, shall I do this year or maybe next year? Shall I go, maybe I need to wait, maybe I need to explore more. But I've realized that if I wait longer, it may be more difficult for my children. I have 2 children. At that time, they were 9 and 12.
So let's just hold on a moment. So not only did you come here, fall in love, love it, and decided that you were going to come and move here, and within a year you had moved here, well, as good as a year, you had moved it, but you also did it with 2 children who were only 9 and 12 at the time.
Yeah, my children waited for me for a year. I had to leave them with their dad. While I was settling in, because I couldn't bring them to nowhere.
Right,
so
okay.
Because I came to nowhere, I rented the room in a hostel through internet. I didn't know where I'm going to live. So I couldn't take them through this experience. That's why they stayed behind for a year, and then I brought them the following year.
So the plan obviously was a 2-year plan for your children, a year plan for you. You came, you said you came to nothing. What on earth did you do? Because I know what you do now, and from there to here is quite significant. So let's talk about, what did you do?
Well, when I came, I had roughly £1,000 with me, because I had my holiday money, and I thought, okay, I know English. I used to work as an English teacher. How hard it can be to find a job if you know English. And I think I'm lucky that I was naive maybe as well, because it wasn't that easy. Jobs that I was qualified, for some reason I couldn't get. And I saw that people with less qualification, because I have master's degree in business administration, so I could see that people were having less education, but they got job easily, whereas it wasn't that easy for me. There are a lot of things I didn't know, but 2 months later, in August, I found my job.
Only 2 months? That's
yeah,
not bad.
however, I did have a backup plan. When I left my job, I didn't tell them that I'm leaving.
Oh.
I didn't tell them.
Even though you had moved over to
Yes,
London, a
yes.
different country.
Just in case it doesn't work out. However, in August, so teachers in Latvia, we have 2 months vacation over summer period. In August, even though I didn't have a stable job yet, it wasn't that secure, I sent over my resignation letter through email, and I decided, I'm staying. And then I found a good position, and yeah, I was happy ever since.
So what was that position?
I started working at College of Teachers.
Oh, right, okay, so you used the experience that you had gained in Latvia.
Yes, because I had experience with working with projects as a project manager, so I was managing a government project for teachers, and I also helped them to apply for European funds as well, because I had experience in my previous jobs with this.
So Inga, in that time, in those few short months where you've packed up everything you've got, you've moved over, you've left your children, and now you've got a job, what was getting you through those challenging times?
I have a mantra, I still use this mantra, that we are not given dreams without the ability to implement.
Ooh,
so
I like that. Can you repeat that for us,
yes,
please, Inga?
we are not given dreams without the ability to implement them.
I love that. We are not given dreams without the ability to implement them. Let that just sit for a moment. I absolutely adore that mantra, because so many of us do have dreams and ideas and plans, and we get stuck in the how. Oh, I don't know how to do it. How do I move from here to there? But as you just said, we are not given dreams without the ability to implement them. So you were using your mantra.
Yes, because sometimes it was the situation when I had to choose, okay, I have £10 left, whether I'm taking a bus or I'm buying a meal. Especially, it was in the beginning while I was looking for jobs. And just to keep myself going, in order not to give up, I was keeping repeating it. So, when I work now with my clients, I'm giving this example, like, you're not regretting that you can't do a ballet dancing because it's not your dream.
Yeah. So,
and when we have a dream, we have this ability to implement. Otherwise, that dream wouldn't visited us.
It wouldn't have visited, exactly. Or as you often say to me, you wouldn't have got the download.
Yes.
You wouldn't have got the download. So Inga, I know you had those challenging times, okay? So what was it that inspired you? So your first job was with doing almost what you kind of knew already within the teaching realm.
Well, it was different. It was related to the teaching profession. It was admin job, but it was very enjoyable. I think I was so lucky to get the job and colleagues I had there. It was unbelievable experience.
So that really was a great start and great introduction to working in the UK.
Yes.
So what was it then, Inga, that led you from there? You had a great job, you were working with people that you liked, you're in the country, in the city that you dreamt about being. It sounds pretty perfect.
It was.
So what prompted the change? Because I know that you moved from there to be doing more or less, or to start evolving into what you do now. So what prompted you to take this journey into that of a business owner and entrepreneur?
Okay. I just wanted to make one remark around challenges, because listening back to what you said, back then I didn't consider them challenges, and they still don't feel like challenges. It wasn't easy, but because it was my dream, because it was something that I was really inspired to be living my dream, it didn't seem like challenges. It wasn't easy, right? But it was easy to overcome. And also looking back, I'm so grateful to all the hardships I went through, because they made me who I am now. So for whoever is listening, if you're going through the tough time right now, remember, this is preparing you for something better. It's always like that.
Absolutely, and that is so true. As you know, the life of an entrepreneur is never easy, and there are some of us who choose this life, and no matter what, you would have to drag us kicking and screaming back into the 9 to 5. But then there are some who are in the 9 to 5 who are very happy and very stable, and look at us and think, oh, if only. As Inga said before, you're never given the dream without being able to implement it. I love that. I'm going to start using that a lot more, I think. So if your dream within 9 to 5 is to be a business owner, you've got to go for it. And if you're a business owner that dreams about being back in the 9 to 5, then you've got to go for it as well. So Inga, what is it exactly that you do? What is it that you do now, and what inspired you to do this?
Yeah. So at the moment, I'm running my own business. I help business owners to make their business sustainable and also to enjoy running it. And how I came about it, so around the time 2010 to 2011, I started looking at the possibility to have my own business. I always wanted to have my own business, even in Latvia. It wasn't that easy to start to be a solopreneur in Latvia. And at that time, I didn't know what exactly I would have my business around. And only 2010, when I was discussing with some friends this idea, I said, I want to have my business, but I don't know what is the business about. And I was told, imagine you have a job you are happy to do without being paid.
Absolutely.
And at that time, I was giving a lot of advice and listening to people, and I said, well, I would love to talk to people, to help them to solve problems. And I was pointed towards coaching industry. In Latvia, it's becoming popular only now. Back then, nobody knew. The concept of coaching or mentoring wasn't known. basically in Latvia, if you have a problem, you go to your friends. It's here people are polite and they don't burden friends with their problems. In Latvia, you call up your friend, you tell all, your stories, maybe you share a glass of wine while you are, complaining about your life. People listen to you and they say, here, you'll get through it, or, they feel for you. So discovering coaching as a concept was completely new to me, and I went to Discovery Weekend and I loved it so much. And apparently I was good at it, listening to people feedback what I listen and being able to help them without giving a direct advice. And it was a discovery for me, how to help people without telling them what to do, how to take them on the journey when they do this discovery themselves. And it was so empowering. So this is how I discovered coaching. I got my qualification, and I was combining my day job, my corporate job, with having clients as a side hustle. For about 4 years, I woke up around 6 o'clock. I wrote my newsletter or some emails with the clients till 8 o'clock. Then I went to work. I came back and I worked on my business. All the holidays. It's very strange for me now. Easter holidays is coming up. For me, it would be the best working time because Easter holidays were quite long and I could focus for 4 days in a row on my business. For me, it was luxury. I didn't have like a normal life because I was so loving doing it. But then at some point in 2014, I understood that if I want to do it properly, I need to have this possibility to do it full time.
That's true. So that was another big step.
Yes.
Inga, what's really coming through here as you talk about your story and what you've been through and your attitude towards it is very much like, some people will see them as challenges and big steps, but for you it's just, this is what I had to do in order to get where I wanted to be. It was just part and parcel of the process.
Yes.
So even in that attitude, in that acceptance of where you were, of what you were doing, there seems to be a comfort in there. Where does that come from? That rather than I'm not picking up the fear. Some people are really fearful as they go through change. But I'm not feeling that from you. I'm not hearing that from you. What I'm hearing from you is a comfort and an acceptance. So where does that come from? Where does that influence come from?
Well, it maybe come across like that because I'm in a reflective mode. I know that everything worked out well. Another my mantra is everything is going to work out. And this is in the moment when we are fearful, when seemingly challenges, you don't see the solution for your challenges. So when you keep saying to yourself that it's going to work out, it helps. And then when you calm yourself, when you neutralize your fear, the solution will appear. And I wanted just to share the story how I manifested my exit from corporate job, because at that time I didn't have like savings, or usually people say you need to save up something before you leave your day job. I would recommend it as well, but I was too impatient, and then I didn't have an opportunity to save up as well. But I wanted to leave. So what I did on 4th of January, I wrote my resignation letter and I signed it with 30th of June. I didn't deliver it to anyone. It was just in my notes.
So that's like a vision. That's the kind of vision exercise that we often take our clients through, so they can visualize the end result that they're after.
Or it was also... And the way how I make all the changes is when I make a decision. This was my decision. If previously I was, going back and forth, shall I leave or shall I stay? I made a decision. So this was my confirmation of the decision was made.
Absolutely.
The same how I moved to London when I bought a ticket, when I booked my room in the hostel, the decision was made. So the comforting part comes when the decision is made, then it's easier because you follow the steps that come from that decision.
Absolutely, and that's a really important point to note here. The point of decision is not always the same as the point of action. Okay, so you can make your decision before you take action. Okay, which normally happens anyway. But you can make your decision months in advance, years in advance. But if you want that decision to come to life, then one of the exercises on the activities that Inga's just spoken about that she did is a really good exercise for bringing stuff to life, such as writing things down, but writing them down as if they've already happened. You know, and it doesn't matter what it is you want, whether it's a job, whether it's a business, whether it's a partner, whether it's a home, it doesn't matter. You write it in the here and now. I am so grateful that I have. I am so appreciative of my. And that really gives power to the dream.
Absolutely.
So it's been really, it's been interesting. It's been exciting at times because I know what's coming. Right? But also, it's been very inspiring. It's been very inspiring to know where you've come from and to know that even with all the challenges that you face, they're just stepping stones. They're just stepping stones. So just before we were, G'd up by the sounds of blackness and the lovely song Optimistic, you were telling us that you wrote your resignation letter on the 4th of January, but you dated it the 30th of June. What happened next?
My last working day was on 30th of June, and I couldn't predict it the way I couldn't plan it out. It just happened, and I was so grateful. And I will tell you one technique that I did on that day. By 27th of June, I still didn't know that it's going to happen. But then I asked myself in the morning, so how I'm going to feel when the decision is finally made, that I know that I'm leaving my job, I'm starting my own business full time. What would I do when it has happened? And I thought, I would do a celebration dance. I would do my victory dance. And what I did it in the morning. Before going to work, I did my victory dance as if my wish has happened. And then on that day, I didn't know that it's going to happen. But
you didn't know it was going to happen?
No.
Well, you knew, but you hadn't put it into practice for it to happen that day yet.
Yeah, yes. So, and on that day exactly, the final decision was made that my last day is going to be 30th of June. And this is how I also teach my clients now. When you have some particular desired result, you imagine how are you going to feel when that wish has come to life. What emotions you're going to experience, and then you feel them. You just imagine and you feel. And this is what I call paying in advance with your emotions for your wish to come true.
Paying in advance with your emotions for your dreams to come true. Did you hear that, listeners? Paying in advance with your emotions for your dreams to come true. I love that. That's given me goosepimples, actually, because that's exactly what it is, isn't it? You pay with your emotions, pay in advance. Imagine what's it going to feel like. There's no point wishing for something but not being able to feel it.
Yes.
Love it.
And then the time has started when I needed to bring my favorite mantra, you're not given dreams without the ability to make them true. Because then I started my journey. My wish was granted. I started my business on a full-time basis without no guarantee whatsoever that it's going to work. But then it worked out, like client came after client. So, I don't remember now the details now, but it was scary. And it was the time in my business when everything, because even though I had this mantra, you are not given dreams, but part of me had this imposter syndrome as well. And I thought, it's probably just luck. It's going to, finish at some time. It cannot be true. And this is how powerful we are, because I have created a situation in my business when it's almost stopped existing, because my fear became true. And I almost lost everything. And by that time I wasn't employable, because I had such a gap in between the employments that I wasn't very competitive on employment market, even if I wanted to go to work. But this was the best time, because this was the time when I went into meditation, started listening to my intuition, and at that time my intuition started developing at such rate that I started using it as my business tool. And it allowed me to create my group, Magical Creators membership group. We started it 3 years ago, and since then I've been following my intuition every time. So my marketing is based on intuition.
And the beautiful thing about that, especially being witness to your journey with Magical Creators, is that I've seen it grow from being a fairly small membership group initially, which was just like a little Facebook group, to where it is now, where you've got something quite exciting happening later this year, haven't you? And what is that, Inga?
So it's another new step for me. I was loving running my business purely online. All my webinars and masterclasses, everything was online. And this year I decided to do the first step and do my live event for the first time ever. I am scared, but I'm more excited. And by the way, excitement and fear are the same emotions on other side of the spectrum. But and I'm more excited that I'm scared about the live event for Magical Creators.
And I'm excited about the Magical Creators, as we know, because just in case you're wondering why, I am the host of Magical Creators Live this year. But Magical Creators is very much about, it's for business owners just like you, who have a dream, who want to create legacy, who want to leave an impact, and they want to do that through being able to create magic for other people. And that's what really, I was very honoured, to be honest. When you asked me, I was very honoured, because that ties in very much with my own values and how I run my own business. But also, it's a really blissful, a very blissful experience, being able to watch somebody else's journey, literally from seedling to where they are now in full bloom, to be able to stand on that stage, to be able to create something, for starters, that you're providing a platform for other entrepreneurs just like yourselves, who've been given the download of their dreams, but they're not quite sure where to go or what to do with it. So you're providing a platform for those people. You're showing them how to do it. Again, ties in beautifully with the Dare to Be Awesome Women's Hour, because that's what we do here. We're about motivation, we're about inspiration, we're about providing you with the strategies and the resources to be able to make those dreams come true. So being able to see how you've put all of that into action, how it's coming together, is an honour for me. So I want to say publicly thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. But also, I just want you to, before we go, we've got a few minutes left, I just want you to share with our listeners, that's being delivered later this year, but when was it created, and when did you make the decision that was going to happen later on this year? Because everything you've spoken about has led you to this point.
Yeah, so the idea of running a live event was downloaded by other entrepreneur at her live event, when she mentioned you need to do a live event.
And you looked around and thought, who, me?
I didn't plan it, seriously, because I had this experience that in the past when nobody came to the event. But The idea came, and I was toying with the idea, or maybe I will do it next year. But the nudges from the universe, what I call it, came strong that it needs to happen this year. It needs to be this year because people are ready and people need it. And last week we sat together with you and Indeed. We mapped out the whole plan, the text was a landing page, and the whole idea was just unfolding beautifully in front of me. All I needed to do to write it down, and this is what tells me that it is divinely guided. It is the event that wants to happen, and then people need it. And so basically the idea about the event came in January in general, and then in March, was it March? Mm-hmm. It was last days of March when it came all together, and now we just need to have a landing page, and it will happen in October.
Absolutely. So, Inga, you have been amazing sharing your journey with us. It has been very, very inspiring. So, just as a quick summary, before we hear your celebration song that you celebrated, handed in your resignation to, and also when you realised that Magical Creators Live was going to happen, before we hear that song, just in a summary, what are your 3 top tips, or even 4, for any woman that's right now battling with a dream that she's not quite sure she can deliver?
Okay, very quickly. So first one is a decision. The moment you decide, the path will show up itself. Is the decision. Believe in yourself. It's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. But you need to trust the process. And I would repeat myself, but we are not given dreams without ability to make them happen. So trust this mantra. Surround yourself with people who will help you, who would cheer for you, and who would support you. There are so many people who disapprove of your idea. You don't need to, because you will have this internal voice that will keep saying to you, maybe it's not going to work, maybe you're not cut for this. This voice never disappears. In order to quiet it and make it mute, you need to have a cheerleaders around you. And then don't be afraid to share your vision as well.
Very true.
Tell people. And this is what I do today. I'm sharing my vision, and thank you, Gayle, for inviting me and making my first experience so enjoyable. And hopefully it starts my journey through the radio shows one by one.
Absolutely, Inga. It's been an absolute pleasure.